Welcome back everyone, it's Eric from Rare Candy, and here today on the channel we have the top 4 match from the recent League Cup at Cape Fear Games in Wilmington, North Carolina that I got to go attend fairly recently. So like I said, this is going to be top 4. We did post a top 8 match as well. We have a link down below in the description just in case you did miss that one. But here in top 4 we have, over on the left we have Grant Manley. He's going to be playing the Baby Buzzwole Gardevoir Shrine of Punishment deck. I believe he actually plays Weavile in here as well. And then over there on the right we have Taylor Quinn. He's going to be playing Gardevoir GX. It's not the Gardevoir Swampert type of list that a lot of people have been playing. It's no Swampert. I believe it's just Gardevoir, Zoroark, and I think he does still play the Thin Solgaleo line as well. So yeah, we'll have to see how this one is going to go. I definitely think there are some interesting things at play here. I think the big card that I think Grant is really going to be happy that he's running in this match is going to be Weavile. Because you have to think all of the Pokemon in Taylor's deck have abilities. So think of Gardevoir, of course, Alolan Ninetales, Solgaleo, Tapu Lele, Zoroark, and Weavile is just a very, very powerful Pokemon against these different evolution Pokemon that Taylor has. So it has that Evil Admonition attack. It does 50 times the amount of Pokemon with abilities your opponent has in play. So I definitely think that's going to be a huge card in this matchup. Grant also does play the Trash Range Garbodor. I think Gardevoir historically has had ways to deal with that just because it has that powerful Twilight GX attack. But I think, like I said, I think Weavile is really going to be the big card that Taylor's going to have to really try to address quickly here. So here he's going to go for a Tapu Lele. I imagine we'll probably see a Professor Elm's Lecture here, unless he doesn't have a supporter in hand, or a method of drawing cards. But here, like I said, we are going to see a Professor Elm's Lecture here. Let's see, he is going to go for a Ditto, a Vulpix, and probably just another Ralt. That seems like a good option to me. Or maybe even a Zorua, potentially. So I'll have to see what he is going to favor here. If he has Zoroark in hand, I'd maybe consider going for the Zorua. It really just depends. If he has Rare Candy in hand, like Rare Candy Gardevoir, he goes for Zorua. But here he's actually going to go for Cosmog. Very, very interesting, okay? So I'll have to see how that's going to go. So even though I did mention Gardevoir GX does have Twilight GX to shuffle in a bunch of items and, well, really just any cards back into the deck, that can potentially help out against Garbodor. Solgaleo GX also does have a decent GX move of its own, heals all damage from all of your Pokemon, so once this Shrine of Punishment damage gets a little bit intense and starts racking up, he has that as an option as well. And Taylor does need to get down that damage counter on Tapu Lele from that Shrine of Punishment. Yep, there he goes. And so Grant is going to get down his Trubbish. We're going to see a Nest Ball here as well. Could see a Buzzwole come down. Yeah, it looks like what Grant's favoring here. So I'm not sure if he's going to have a way to take a knockout here. He would need something like Switch, Beast Energy, Prism Star in order to make something like that happen. Just not sure if he has that at his disposal, so we'll have to see. Okay, so he does at the very least have a Switch. That's nice. He's going to kind of save that Sneasel. He definitely knows that's going to be a very important card in this matchup here. And here we're just going to see just 30 damage come down onto this Ralts here. And then that Tapu Lele GX, of course, is going to take 10 more damage from Shrine of Punishment. So here Taylor's going to go for some Timer Balls. He did flip. It looks like they rolled off screen there, but it looks like he got at least one heads. Oh, actually got two. That's actually really good for him. So here you can go Zoroark. Oh, so he had Zoroark in hand, had Ninetales, and the Solgaleo. So let's see what he's going to get here. He's going to search out an Energy Lotto out of his deck using that Ninetales. What is the other item he is going to search out? Since Alolan Ninetales, its ability does allow you to grab 2 items. If he doesn't already have Rare Candy, he goes for that, I'm pretty sure. Other than that, could just get out an Ultra Ball. Okay, yeah, that actually looks like what he might be favoring. That'll at least give him some flexibility in terms of maybe getting out a Gardevoir at some point. So let's see what he's going to do. He does have Zoroark as disposal as well. So here it looks like he's just taken a look at this Buzzwole. The one thing that is unfortunate is that both Solgaleo and Zoroark only hit for 120 damage. Gardevoir is the only thing that can actually take a knockout on this Buzzwole, in one hit. So here we are going to see the Rare Candy into the Solgaleo. So that will at least remove the weakness from Zoroark thanks to, I believe it's the Shining Mane ability that is on that Solgaleo. So that is nice. Buzzwoles won't be able to knock out Zoroark quite as easily, but this Weavile will be able to do that just fine. Right now, Weavile is already hitting for 200 damage, which is pretty, pretty wild here. And we see a switch here. And does he have the double colorless energy? That's the next kind of order of business here. He does have that energy lotto he has not yet played. Okay, so he is going to go for that. Let's see if he can find it. So this is actually a situation, I think I would have rather have seen him play that before switching, but that's fine here. And he does find the double colorless energy, so that's actually pretty nice as well. So he will be able to soften up this Buzzwole, but definitely a little bit unfortunate. He is having to two-shot this one prize Pokemon. So it looks like Taylor's going to shuffle up with that Cynthia and refresh his hand to a new hand of 6. So, yeah, I mean, he's getting some stuff going, but at the same time, his board is definitely being threatened by Grant here. Like I said, once that Weavile comes online, it's going to be, I think, bad news for Taylor. He's going to really need to find a Guzma for next turn and try to take that thing out. Here we are going to see another Ralts hit the bench as well, just in case that Curlia with that damage does go down next turn. But I'd imagine if Grant's going to Guzma anything, he's probably taking a GX knockout. And here we're just going to see 120 with that Riot Speeding attack on Zoroark, 20 times the amount of Pokemon you have in play. So unfortunately, like I said, just 10 short of knocking out this Buzzwole, which feels kind of bad. But on the plus side, this Buzzwole does have a 2 retreat cost, which means Weavile is not going to be able to come up into the active quite as easily. So in a way, this actually might be a good thing. If Taylor can find himself a Guzma for next turn, and he can take out this Sneasel before it evolves, that actually would be pretty nice. So in a way, it's not the end of the world this Buzzwole is stuck there active. Grant's hand is just not looking the best right now, but he, if I'm not mistaken, he does have a counter energy and a Trash Avalanche Garbodor. So even if this Buzzwole goes down, counter energy will come online as well here. I'm not sure how many items that Taylor has played this far. I think probably close to 5, if I remember correctly. So Trash Range, of course, does 20 times the amount of items in his discard. So it looks like he has, was that 1, 2, 3, 4? Yeah, it might actually be 5 now. It's 4 or 5. Can't really tell. But, it's doing a little bit of damage, so Grant, at the very least, will have an attacking option for next turn, but let's see what Taylor is going to do this turn. I believe he does have a Gardevoir GX in hand as well, probably debating if he actually wants to even get it down right away. But here it looks like he's opting to attach this Alolan Ninetales, so kind of favoring the snipe attack that this thing has. There actually are some things he could do. If he can find himself Guzma, he could actually have a very, very impressive turn. If he can go like Guzma, evolve into Gardevoir, Secret Spring. Okay, but it looks like he is going to go for the Cynthia here. But like I said, if he had managed to find himself a Guzma and an energy to get down on this Alolan Ninetales, he could have actually Guzma'd up Sneasel, taking a knockout, and then the 30 snipe damage from the attack could also knock out this Buzzwole as well. So maybe Taylor has some Guzma's prized or something like that. Or I'm not even sure exactly what he had in hand either, but maybe he just figured the odds of getting what he needed off that trade might not have been that good. So here he's just going to Riot Speeding for the knockout. And of course, this Zoroark is probably going to be safe for now. Oh, but it looks like Grant did find himself draw supporter, but it looks like he is opting to bring up this Tapu Lele and take a knockout with Trash Avalanche. So right now, I believe Trash Avalanche is hitting for around 100. But the Shrine of Punishment damage as well is also going to, I believe, pick this guy off, because right now it has 160. I mean, at the very worst, it's going to get knocked out going back into Grant's turn. But you never know, Taylor could play something like Max Potions or stuff like that. So I'll have to see what he can make happen here to respond to this. I believe I see a Professor Elm's Lecture in hand. I imagine we'll see that get traded away. So, okay, it looks like he... Oh, he's actually going to just play it. Interesting. So I'm curious what he is looking for off of this Elm. Because, I'm thinking we're going to try to trade and hit Guzma. because that is definitely what you want to see here. But it looks like he's just going for the Elm's Lecture, thinning some Pokemon out of his deck. Maybe he's trying to hit something else in particular here. I'm not sure if he plays Max Potion or Acerola, but either of those could also be good here. Of course, he did play the Elm already, so he can't go for an Acerola, but if he is playing Max Potion, he will want to find that here. He has a pretty thick hand. You know, we know a few of those things are going to be Pokemon. Just curious what else is there. But it looks like he's just going to retreat, take a knockout on this Garbodor, and, you know, go down to 2 prizes. Grant similarly is also going to go down to, or I'm sorry, he's going to go down to 4 prizes. Similarly, Grant is also going to do the same thanks to that Shrine of Punishment damage, knocking out that Tapu Lele. And, oh, that's actually a really good top deck, hitting the unit energy. So now all he has to do is find himself a Weavile here, and he can actually take a knockout. Here, Grant is going to go for the Pow Pad and then play Cynthia. I'm actually not sure if I like the Pow Pad in this particular situation, just because he really just wants to hit Weavile. And putting those extra supporters back in his deck is going to decrease the chances of that happening. Granted, that's only going to decrease his odds by 1 card, because had he kept the Pow Pad, you know, he's only, you know, netting 1 less card being in his deck. But I almost feel like I would have rather had seen him just hang on to that. But I'm also not sure how many supporters are in his discard pile. Maybe he had discarded a few that I didn't realize, and he might be afraid he'd be drawing dead the rest of the game. But I don't know. Assuming he didn't have an excessive amount of draw supporters in the discard, I think I would have rather have seen him hold on to the Pow Pad here. And he does have an Ultra Ball though, so he is going to be able to get out this Weavile. So let's see what he's going to opt to discard off of this Ultra Ball. Shrine of Punishment seems good. He already has 1 in play. And then the Choice Band. Okay. So we are definitely going to see that Weavile come down. He also has a Slugma in hand, has another Trubbish. So he will have some additional Pokemon to get down to ensure he doesn't get benched out on his next turn. So let's see, he's got the Trubbish, the Slugma, then he has a Garbodor in hand, nothing else, but luckily he is going to get 2 more prizes off of this Weavile, so he's going to get 2 prizes, then an extra card for turn, so he has outs to finding a way to draw some cards. So we do see an Ultra Ball in his hand, so he might have an option to get an Oranguru on the next turn as well to draw some stuff, if he plays Oranguru, but I believe he does. So here, looks like Taylor's going to take a Shrine of Punishment damage, promote this Solgaleo GX, and so he's really going to be looking for a double colorless energy here. That way he can use that Turbo Strike attack to take a knockout on the Sneasel. But here he does have it, so that's definitely good for him. And he has Rare Candy, going to get out, it looks like the new Gardevoir from Lost Thunder. This is a card I don't think has seen too much play, but it's actually kind of a hybrid of some of these other support Pokemon that Gardevoir's played in the past. Has that the first attack, I forget what it's called on this one, but it's basically the same as Magical Ribbon on Sylveon GX. And similarly, its second attack, I believe, is actually called Sensitive Blade as well. Very similar to the old Gallade that Gardevoir decks used to play before it rotated out of Standard. Does a little bit more damage, but does cost an additional Fairy Energy compared to that old Gallade. But that definitely could be a potentially decent card in this matchup. It only gives up 1 prize, doesn't have an ability, so that might be a potential, you know, big player later in this game. So here it looks like Taylor is going to take a knockout here. I'd imagine we'll probably see, yep, we're going to see that energy come down onto that Gardevoir. Unfortunately, he did not have another Fairy Energy in hand to get, or I'm sorry, in discard to get onto that Gardevoir. But nevertheless, he is setting it up to be just 1 double colorless energy away. But here, yeah, like I was saying, Grant is going to go for this Oranguru to ensure that he can draw himself some cards, you know, trying to find himself, you know, a draw supporter or something like that to stay in this game. You know, he is going to be ahead, but right now his board is just not looking too great. Oh, but he does have the Trash Ranch Garbodor, so if he finds an energy, that could be good here as well. You know, I'm not sure how many items Taylor has played. I believe he's sitting at right around 7, something like that. If that is the case, Garbodor would be doing 120, just because this Solgaleo does have resistance to Psychic. And Solgaleo is a pretty tanky Pokemon, also has, you know, 250 HP, which is pretty monstrous. So right now it is sitting at 180 health left. Of course, after Shrine of Punishment, you factor that in. Really, Grant just needs to do 170, but I'm just not sure if he's going to have access to do quite that much this turn. So let's see, what is he going to do here? Does he have a draw supporter? Oh, he does have Professor Kukui, and he finds the rainbow energy off of the Kukui. That is wild. So let's see how many items he has there. I believe it's somewhere around 7, might even be 6. So it looks like it's going to be doing 120. Okay, there. Looks like they're adjusting his damage. We'll have to see how much this Solway is going to be sitting at here. So it looks like it's going to be at 180 after the Shrine of Punishment. So, luckily the Solway is very tanky. It will, survive a hit here going into this next turn. But unfortunately, Taylor, his GXs are hanging in there, but at the same time, they're basically getting to the point where they're just like a Guzma away from being knocked out. Oh, okay, I guess it's at 200. Never mind. Not sure what's going on there. So let's see how Taylor is going to be able to respond here. We do see, I believe that's a Zoroark GX in his hand. If that is the case, we're going to want to see that come down probably. That way it can help him draw some more cards. There's not a Sneasel on board, so right now I think he can actually be a little bit greedy with the amount of Pokemon he has in play with abilities. You can see he's very torn about what he wants to do here. So we are gonna see a Fairy Energy come down here on this Gardevoir, okay? So let's see, he is going to need an additional energy plus Gardevoir GX in order to be able to... Let's see what he's doing here. Interesting. I'm not really sure what happened with his damage, and I'm really just not sure what happened on his turn in general here. It looks like he didn't even attack. And he didn't trade. I'm very, very confused actually. Oh, I see. He used Prominence GX to heal off all of that damage that had been done to him. It makes sense. At the same time, I'm not sure how I feel about it. Just because I don't know. You're kind of behind at this point, and I feel like you just need to go a little bit aggressive and catch up in the prize race. I don't know if that's going to be enough, because this Garbodor is just going to swing on you yet again and soften you up basically right about to where you were at the same point last turn. Basically just keeping you at a Guzma away from being knocked out. So here, Grant's going to find that Beast Energy Prism Star, and this is, kind of what I was saying, it's kind of allowing Grant to find more pieces to close out this game, whereas Taylor's not really getting to actually advance, his board much. He got the energy down on the baby Gardevoir, but beyond that, really didn't see too much happen. So, yeah, I can't say I'm a big fan of how Taylor's turn went, but maybe he had some stuff in his hand that, was just unplayable. I'm not really sure. But here, yeah, his deck is starting to kind of come alive here. He's finding the Macargo, he's finding Ditto, no doubt. That can probably turn into a Weavile to close out this game at some point. So let's see what he's going to do here. Even if he just goes for another Trash Lanch, setting up a potential Guzma knockout to close out the game, I think that'll be fine. Here he's just taking a peek, probably checking to see how many items Taylor has played so far here. Yeah, I believe it's somewhere around 6 right now, if I remember correctly. And I guess, yeah, we're just going to see another Trash Lanch, and Shrine of Punishment is going to, of course, come into play, softening up some of these Pokemon again. So how is Taylor going to respond to this? I almost feel like we need to see a Guzma on this Ditto. That could be good. Of course, also taking out Magcargo could be good too, preventing Grant from maybe finding a Guzma. So if we can maybe see maybe like a Guzma on this Magcargo with the baby Gardevoir, I kind of like that, because that will get rid of that Magcargo, which is, has that great smooth over ability, allowing Grant to stack his deck with basically any card he wants. So if he can make that type of play happen, I think I'd like to see that. Alrighty, and looks like he is going to get down energy on this Ninetales, actually. Interesting. So maybe he's thinking about going for the Ditto to knock that out? Not really sure. So we are going to see a Guzma on this. So you can see he's probably just afraid of that Weavile. It's definitely a card he is going to be very wary of. So he's going to take out this Ditto. Not sure how many cards are in Grant's hand here, but you know, if he has enough to actually use Smooth Over and Instruct, I feel like that might even be game. So here he's going to get 30 down on that Garbodor. So even though Weavile was certainly a threat, I think I would have preferred to see the Magcargo get knocked out by the baby Gardevoir, just because, like I said, Magcargo can help find Grant that Guzma he needs to close out this game. And with such a small hand size, no doubt he's going to be able to properly play his hand down enough here. So yeah, he has Smooth Over. He has an energy in his hand he can get down just to thin it out of his deck, and then he can just Guzma up this Solgaleo to, I believe, take his last knockout. Solgaleo is sitting at 130 right now. So he's going to get down energy on this Oranguru. Going to Instruct for Guzma. Bringing up the Solgaleo. Now, I'm actually not sure if it's going to be knocked out, but I think it's going to be like 10 left. 10 damage left in between turns from Shrine of Punishment. So right now it's at 130. So another 100 is going to be, what, 230? Then Shrine of Punishment is going to be at 240. So basically, Taylor's in a spot where if he doesn't have a max potion, this Solgaleo is just going to get knocked out. And yeah, he's going to have a hard time here. But if he does play max potion, we haven't seen anything like that yet this game. If he does play that, you know, Taylor actually, you know, he would have a pretty strong turn here. So if I'm him, I'm wanting to probably retreat into this Gardevoir just because, you know, it only gives it one prize, and it can also knock out this Garbodor. So here we are going to see an Ultra Ball getting rid of a Gardevoir and a Lily. Okay. So we could see another Ninetales come down, maybe searching out, you know, I'm not really sure what items he has left. He could play a Field Blower, and ooh, Taylor's just picking up his cards, so maybe he did not have what he needs. So maybe he looked to see if he had a Ninetales or a Max Potion. Maybe they were prized, but if he had a Max Potion or something like that in deck, I would imagine we would have seen him continue to play out that game. So the fact that he scooped up all of his cards kind of tells me that he didn't have that at his disposal for that game. So yeah, we'll have to see how game 2 is going to go here, but yeah, unfortunately that didn't go the best for Taylor. That Weavile is, I think just the threat of Weavile in this matchup really kind of forces you into awkward plays. Like, you want to get out your Zoroarks, you want to get out all of your Gardevoirs, you want to get out your Ninetales, of course, but it's kind of, you know, it's kind of difficult to get out all of that stuff really quickly when there's the looming threat of a Weavile hitting the field. Now, of course, Taylor did take out that Ditto, kind of trying to preemptively take that out so a Weavile wouldn't come into play. But I'm just trying to think how he can maybe adjust course for this next game. I think earlier on he, I forget exactly, but I want to say he could have potentially tried to dig and hit something to Guzma Sneasel earlier on. If I remember right, I kind of forget now, but definitely taking out the Sneasels very early in the game are going to be good. Also, of course, targeting down Magcargo is going to be really important here, because a lot of times with this Baby Buzzwole, you know, Shrine of Punishment deck, you know, or just Shrine of Punishment decks in general that don't play Lele, a lot of times they're basically living off of Oranguru if they have kind of a low hand size. And if you can take away the Magcargo, sometimes that is enough to kind of, you know, cripple their options every turn. So I think those are going to be some of the big Pokemon to target down in this matchup here. So let's see how this one is going to go. No doubt Taylor is going to want to go first here since he lost game 1. And here he is going to open up with that Professor Elm's Lecture. That's definitely what you like to see. He was fortunate enough, he didn't even need to bench a Tapu Lele to play it as well. So I definitely like that. So let's see what he's going to grab with these, you know, off of the supporter. So it looked like he might be eyeing himself down a Cosmog here. So we're going to see a Vulpix. That makes sense to me. That way he can search out Ninetales and, you know, get out his rare candies. We're going to see a Ditto. And a Ralts here. Okay. So probably getting the Ditto down just in case of this Zorua getting knocked out. He still has a method of evolving into a Zoroark GX here. Just because, you know, without that Buzzwole GX in play, these Zoruas and, of course, Zoroark GX as well are going to be weak to this Buzzwole. So we're going to see a Choice Band come down, Shrine of Punishment, and a Lily. So it looks like Grant opted to keep the Rainbow Energy in hand. I kind of would have liked to have seen that maybe come down on the baby Buzzwole. He's going to get that down either way. Maybe he was kind of holding out to maybe draw into a unit energy. That way he didn't have to take damage. Not really sure. But just because the 1 damage counter is actually relevant. But nevertheless, he is going to still get it down and be able to take a knockout this turn. But here he's going to go for a Nest Ball off to see what it's going to get. We could see maybe a Ditto come down, or maybe even another Buzzwole, or even a Ranger. That could be an option too. So if he does get down the Ditto, that will give him the flexibility, and that is what Grant is going to go for here. That will give him the flexibility, even if the Sneasel is targeted down. Okay, it looks like he's changing his mind. Yeah, I think going for the Diancie here is probably fine. The only reason I was thinking Ditto might be a good choice just because if that lone Sneasel gets knocked out, you still have another out to evolving into your Weavile, and then similarly, if it doesn't get knocked out, you also have the flexibility of evolving into Magcargo. But you know what? He has Buzzwoles in play, so Diancie definitely will get some value here, so I guess it's probably okay. So we also see a Trubbish in Grant's hand as well. So opting to hang on to it here, maybe just keeping his options open for the moment, since, you know, Garbodor is not the best right now at this point in the game. So maybe he's thinking maybe he can bait his opponent into playing some extra items down without the, you know, looming threat of a Garbodor. Not sure. We'll have to see how that's going to go. But here, Taylor is going to search out a Timer Ball and a Rare Candy off of this Alolan Ninetales. And we'll have to see what he's going to go for. I'd imagine probably a Gardevoir GX here. And unfortunately, he hit the dreaded Double Tails here. Luckily, he does have an Ultra Ball, though. This will require him to play some more cards, and it looks like he's having to discard some more items in particular, which is rough. And okay, that's not too bad. He was able to get rid of a Professor Elm's Lecture at the same time here, so that's really not too terrible. So let's see, it looks like he is going for a Gardevoir GX, I believe that is, and then just a Cynthia. So, you know, thanks to that Rainbow Energy, Gardevoir actually can potentially take a knockout. If Taylor can find himself a Fairy Energy and a Double Colorless Energy, he'll be able to do exactly 120 to take a knockout here, which would be pretty nice. And right now, with the way his current board is, Weavile actually can't take a knockout on Gardevoir. So, this actually would be a pretty strong turn if he can make that happen. And here we do see a Zoroark come down as well, so that will allow him to dig a little bit deeper. Let's see what he's going to opt to trade away. He does find a Fairy Energy. That's definitely a good start here. And he definitely needs Double Colorless Energy. That's the next order of business for him. Can he find it? So we're going to see a trade getting rid of Ralts. And he does find the Double Colorless Energy. That's actually pretty big here, taking a knockout on that Buzzwole. Now, unfortunately, he is in a spot where this Zoroark can potentially start to get a little bit beat up, since it does have that pesky fighting weakness. I'm not sure if Grant has the methods of, or, you know, means of pulling off something like that, but we'll have to see. What is he going to grab here? So it looks like he might be eyeing himself down another Buzzwole. And can he Guzman this up? That would be, I think, pretty good if he had the means of doing this. Okay, he does actually have Guzma in hand as well. Okay, but he's going to go for Weavile, it appears, instead, and then just go for a Cynthia. So just opting to kind of soften up this Gardevoir a bit here, and then maybe that baby Buzzwole can finish it off on the following turn, potentially. So no doubt, he's also going to be looking for Magcargo. He wants to establish that. That way he can start stacking his deck with that Smooth Over ability as well. And of course, a Unit or Rainbow Energy are going to be the other big cards he's going to be looking for. So, Moment of Truth, Grant, what do you have? Oh, and he actually has the Unit Energy, and I believe the Magcargo to go with it too. So this is actually a very, very strong Cynthia he has here. He does have Ultra Ball. He can actually play his hand down pretty low if he wants to go for an Oranguru and instruct into a Smooth Over target. But here he is going to Smooth Over, just putting a Fighting Energy on top of his deck. I like this actually, just because he doesn't really need anything else this turn in particular, so may as well, you know, just stack your deck, get it ready for the next turn, you know, anticipating this Weavile to get knocked out, and that Fighting Energy will allow him a way to kind of respond with that Sledgehammer attack. Okay, but here we're just going to see an Evil Admonition. So right now it's going to be hitting for 180 thanks to that choice ban. So Gardevoir is going to be at 200 after this Shrine of Punishment damage, if I did my math there correctly. So, and if Grant's able to actually Guzma next turn, he could even kind of play around this Gardevoir that has all this damage and maybe take a knockout with this Buzzwole and letting Shrine of Punishment take a knockout on this Gardevoir while he's busy KOing something else with Sledgehammer. So that's something I would like to see. I'm not sure if he has access to that. We did see him discard a Guzma already, but he does have this Oranguru. He has Ultra Ball in hand, so he can go for a Oranguru as well to maybe pull off a combo like that. So I think he might have a potentially very powerful turn ready to go next turn. But if Taylor plays Max Potion, that's a card we did not see in Game 1, but if he has a way to actually make that happen, that would be pretty strong as well, I think. So let's see what he's going to opt to do here. We are going to see a Lily just for 2. We also do have to remember he does have that Zoroark GX, so we can trade and draw a few more cards if he would like to. I see a Guzma in his hand, so he could potentially take that out. You know, maybe that meant Cargo, or maybe the Buzzwole. I'm not sure if he actually has a method of knocking out the Buzzwole, but we'll have to see here. So we already see a double Colorless Energy come down, okay. And maybe he is thinking about going for Guzma. Is that what's in his hand? So that is what he's thinking about doing. And here he can take a knockout on this Trubbish, but I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure how much I actually like this, though, just because he's kind of setting up that big, like, Shrine of Punishment double knockout play for himself. But I'm not sure. I did not get a good look at what's in his hand, so maybe he's thinking I need to just get some prizes. I'm not sure. But either way, you know, this is basically preserving his Weavile and also at the same time setting up Sledgehammer to take basically a free knockout here. So that's, yeah, if you're going to basically play in the Sledgehammer, I would have liked to have seen a really important Pokemon get knocked out here. I don't even think Taylor had that many items in discard at this point either. You know, Garbodor I definitely don't think is the big threat in this matchup. Weavile is going to be the thing you're going to be probably afraid of the most. Now I will say to Taylor's credit, he is playing around Weavile pretty decently here, but at the same time, you know, this Buzzwole is just going to take a free knockout. I almost kind of would have liked to have seen potentially just 120 go down on this Buzzwole. I think I would have liked to have seen that in hindsight, actually. Just because you wouldn't be playing into Sledgehammer, and right now it would only be doing, I believe, 100 to this Zoroark, so I think I would have liked that if he was going to Guzma anything. Trubbish, like I said, I think would have been the last of the targets I would have been thinking about. But here, Grant's just going to take a knockout on this Zoroark here, and this Gardevoir is going to incur a little bit more damage. But if Grant is able to find a Guzma on his next turn, that actually be really big, because that would kind of set up this whole, you know, Shrine of Punishment knockout on this Gardevoir like I was kind of talking about earlier here. So let's see what Taylor is going to grab off of this Tapu Lele. He's going to go for an Elm's Lecture. So it looks like he is grabbing that Cosmo and kind of telling me he might be thinking about going for Solgaleo. And Solgaleo actually could be good because it can heal off all this damage off of this Gardevoir. Interesting, okay. So, okay, that must not be what he has in mind. It looks like he's definitely thinking he's going to sacrifice this Gardevoir. Solgaleo, I guess, is a very, very tanky Pokemon, so that could be one reason he is going to go for that. And yeah, I guess that makes sense. It actually does knock out most of the stuff in Grant's deck outside of Buzzwole. And at this point, Buzzwole, it just isn't quite as good compared to Weavile and Trashwinch, or Garbodor, in terms of their attacks. So let's see what he's going to opt to do. He's going to Ultra Ball away his Cynthia and Counter Energy, going for that Trashwinch Garbodor. But here he is going to smooth over, putting that Guzma on top of his deck. So yeah, he is going to be able to set up that Shrine of Punishment knockout I was kind of talking about earlier with this Guzma. And yeah, this might be game after this Guzma, just because being able to take a knockout while Shrine of Punishment knocks out something else for you is just so powerful. So let's see what he's going to opt to do. He's going to get down that Garbodor, Energy, Sneasel, and instruct into 3 cards, including that Guzma that he just put on top of his deck with Magcargo. And also taking out the Cosmog, kind of the big threat in the process. So here Grant is going to Pow Pad, getting some supporters back into his deck, just going for a Guzma and Cynthia, it looks like. So just 2 Guzmas. I actually like that because he's going to go down to, 2 prizes here. And at this point, he basically just needs Guzmas to close out the game. He has a couple different attackers already ready to go. But he has a Rangaroo in play, so he has ways to draw cards, so I like that. So right now, he is going to knock out that Cosmog, and from here, I'm just thinking, man, what does Taylor do at this point? He's in a situation where, like, Twilight wouldn't be a terrible attack here, but at the same time, you can't really afford to do that, so... Again, I'm not sure if Taylor plays something like a Max Potion or not, but that would be pretty huge here. But he is going to Ultra Ball, getting rid of a Cosmog, and something else. I did not see the other card. It looks like 2 Psychic Pokemon, so maybe he plays multiple, like a 302 Solgaleo line or something like that. I'm not sure. But here it looks like, I guess we're just going to see a scoop from him. Yeah, and I have to say, I don't blame him there. Grant definitely had a pretty incredible board set up there at the end of the game. And I think it was going to be a little bit hard to come back from that one at that point. So Grant is going to take this series 2-0 with his Baby Buzzwole Shrine of Punishment deck and move on to the finals. So definitely stay tuned, guys. We are going to have the finals coming up. A link will be down below in the description whenever it goes live. And of course, also a link to the top 8 match from this League Cup as well, if you did miss that. But as usual, feel free to like and subscribe, and consider supporting this channel by becoming a patron over at patreon.com/rarecandytcg, or by picking up some merch from our online store, rarecandytcg.com. It would mean a lot. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.